Hello, hi everyone. Very good evening. Welcome to today's session. Uh, Meanwhile, we wait. I can let from my personal interview experience. I can let you know few things which I was asked about Java. So I'm not sure whether I've mentioned or not, but my language is Java. So when I say my language, it means that whenever I give interview for any company, it is in Java. So or the competitive coding that also I do that is in Java. So I've given a lot of interviews related to Java. So, some of the very common questions which I was asked as a fresher when I was interviewing, uh, it was that, how is Java platform independent? Okay. So, in that case, it's not just sufficient to memorize that, because of JVM or because of bytecode and all those things. So that's definitely not sufficient. You need to understand that, what is bytecode, how does it get converted, which step converts the Java source code into bytecode. That is all is very important. Then difference between JDK, JRE, JVM. Not so see whenever I'm whatever I'll be telling now, I don't mean that you have to learn what it is. Okay, try to understand the concept. So yes, like I said, so for example, they in interview they cannot they will not ask you, okay, differentiate between JDK, JRE and JVM. Maybe they can, but this is very it's not very common. What are some common things that you can get in an interview is that, they can ask you application based questions. So for example, they will say that, suppose you have written a Java program, and or you have made an application in Java, and you're sharing that application with your friend. So which is that one thing that your friend should have to run that application? Okay. So I ask this question to a lot of students, like a lot of freshers when I take the interviews, and very few of them are able to answer it. Okay, so the answer is JRE. JRE is the Java runtime environment. So think of like these concepts from that point of view. Okay, that okay, I have learned this, but where can it be used? See from it at from a practical point of view. For example, whenever, like I just said, that whenever you have to run a Java application, you do not need JDK, you just need JRE. JDK is the development kit, so they can ask you what is there in the development kit. So you can say, like, things like you have debugger or any tools that are required for development of a Java application. So if you are a Java developer, you will need a JDK, okay, in your system to be installed. But if you're just a user, JRE is just fine, right? So these things were asked, and then things like, why multiple inheritance is not. I'm not sure if you guys are aware about inheritance, but yeah, this is a very common question, that why multiple inheritance is, not supported in Java. Why Java does not have the concept of pointer. Okay, Java is such a powerful language. When C could have it, C++ could have it, why doesn't Java have the concept of pointer? Okay, so it is basically because of the security reason. Java does not want to give the user access to the address, okay, the memory address via pointer. The address of a variable, right? That variable is pointing to exactly which address. So the makers of Java, they did not want, this much power in the hands of user. So for security reasons, they did not have pointers. Also, the another reason that they put forward was that, that pointers will make your program very complicated, and they did not want that. All right, so yeah, these things were there. And then why is Java object oriented programming language? What is object oriented programming language? Okay, or say for object oriented programming language concepts like abstraction. So what is abstraction? Can you give me a real life example of abstraction? So I'm sharing these, so these are some interview questions which I have faced or which I have asked. Okay, so yeah, we just had some time, so thought of sharing it. Anything like anything more that you would want to know over here, or we should get started with today's class? We have already waited for like 6 minutes now, so maybe we can start. Yeah, of course, unless you guys have some question which you would like to discuss. There's a question that, since we have seen for loops, how to approach with pattern programs. Okay, so Ishwar, one thing, now that you know loops, so always, okay, whenever there is a 2D pattern that you're trying to make, so patterns are 2D only, right? So whenever you're trying to make a pattern, always there will be nested loops, okay? Now what you have to try to find is that, just think that at every row, what is the relationship between row and column. Okay, at every row try to find that. And that is how you can approach these pattern problems. Pattern problems again are very important, like very common actually for freshers. Okay then, maybe there aren't any other questions, so let's get started. I'll be sharing the screen. All right guys, can you see my screen? The font is fine, or would you like me to zoom in? Okay, I'll zoom in a bit. I hope it's fine now. Do you want me to zoom further? Okay, great, great. So let's get started with today's agenda. Just a second. Yeah. So today's class is about functions in Java. So I'm sure all of you would have attended functions in JavaScript. So the concept is same. There are only some syntactical differences which will be over here. Some extra things which will be over here. Some restriction kind of things which will be over here. But on a on a conceptual level it is exactly same as that. Okay, so today we just a second, let me zoom in the board also. So today we are going to talk about functions in Java. So a lot of times you will hear people use the word function and method. Anybody who knows the difference between function and method? A lot of times I've seen, yeah, people using it interchangeably. Function and method, they will use it interchangeably. Anybody? Like, do you know the difference between function and a method? Or if you do not know, that is also fine. Just just enter a no. No, Abhinav. No, 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 Chandni. That's not the correct answer. Any other answer? Okay. I'm glad we raised this point. So yeah, I'll tell you. Okay, what is the difference between a function and a method? This is a very basic question. Okay, so it is something very important. So yes. So let's get started with today's agenda. So first, we will talk about Java methods. While talking about Java methods, I'll also talk about functions versus methods. Okay, that what is the difference between it? How can you identify which is a method and which is a function? Then we will see that how do you declare a method in Java. Okay. Then I actually there are few things which I will be covering which is not there in the material, but that is important. So that is why I'm putting that in a dash over here. Okay. I'll also cover declaration versus definition. So whatever I'm telling that it is important, all of that I'm telling from a interview point of view. Okay. Declaration versus definition. Okay. Then we will talk about calling a method. Okay. And then we'll see parameters in a method. So none of the things that you will be discussing over here will be new for you conceptually. Okay, conceptually you have covered everything for JavaScript. Yeah, so we will see parameters. Then we will see some library methods which are very commonly used. Okay, we'll cover just a couple of them, but you can see more. And then we will see advantages of using a method. Okay, so this is today's agenda. Are we good to begin? Should we get started? Everybody clear about what is the objective of today's session? And one more thing, I would want you all to code along. Please code along. If you have your Java set up on your local, that's great. You can code over there. If you do not have the Java setup, pick any online compiler of your choice. I can share the one which I use. I'm very comfortable with this one, so I use this online compiler. You can also use this if you want, okay, or whatever environment works for you. That's totally your choice. Okay, now let's get started with Java methods. Can you tell me what are functions? What are functions? Quickly in the chat. Exactly, reusable set of code, right? Every, I hope everybody here knows what are functions. Anybody who does not know what are functions, please feel free to let me know so that I can explain. Okay, seems all of you know it. Yes. So functions are nothing but reusable set of code. Okay. So you put some statements. So like how did you make functions in JavaScript? So because you guys know JavaScript, right? So I'll always do a compare and contrast of JavaScript and Java. So if we talk about functions, this is how you created a function in JavaScript. Okay. We just wrote this function keyword and then we wrote the name of the function, whatever it is, brackets, curly bracket, and this. Okay. This is what your function is. All right. It is just a reusable set of code. And suppose the name of your function is name only. So whenever you want to use this code, you can always call this name method and you can use it. Okay. So this is what a function is. Now I'll tell you what are methods. Okay. So methods are exactly same as function. It's just that when a function is written inside a class, it is called a method. Okay. So let me write it over here. Function inside a class is called a method. Okay. Conceptually, both of them are same. But if you write a function inside a class, it becomes a method. If you write a function outside a class, it is called a function. Okay. So in JavaScript, writing everything inside a class is not mandatory. Okay, you can write things outside the class also. You can not make a class also. That's also totally fine. So in JavaScript, you can have both functions and methods. But when it comes to Java, uh, what do you guys know about Java? Like, is class important? Like, is it mandatory? In Java, is a class mandatory? Right? So can I say that in Java, every function will actually be inside the class? Can I say that? Okay. So can I say that in Java, we only have methods, we do not have function? Can I say that? I hope everybody is clear in function versus method. Right, see, it was a very small thing, right? It was not a very big conceptual difference, it was a very small thing. But these little things which may not be clear to you, they tend to give a bad impression, okay, in an interview, that this is such a basic thing and the candidate doesn't know this. So see, focus on easy things which are easier to remember, easy to explain, and make sure that at least you are done with that. Okay. Now, I hope we have covered the first part, Java methods, function versus method. Now, let us see the second part, which is declaring a method. Okay. So, when we declare a method, so right now I'll explain you, and then when I code, I want all of you to code along with me. So, declaring a method. Anmol has a very interesting question. Can function be parent of another function? So, Anmol, by parent, if you mean that a function is calling another function, that is totally possible. This is what you meant? A function can call another function, okay? Just like you had in JavaScript, similarly, it is over here. But that relationship is not called a parent-child relationship, okay? So this would not be a very appropriate word over here. A function can call another function, a function can be called by another function, but that is not a parent-child relationship. All right? I hope I answered your question, Anmol. Before moving to declaration of method, there is one more thing that I wanted to actually cover. which is called types of method in Java. Okay. Anmol, I guess there is some typo in your question. Could you please rephrase it? Okay. So yeah, let's continue with type of methods. So there are two types of methods. Okay. First is user defined, and another is standard library. Okay. So user defined methods are the methods that you create. Okay. So if you remember in the previous class, I was showing you some methods, right? I created a method which I was calling from main. So the methods that you create, okay, methods created by user are called user defined methods, and standard library methods are the inbuilt methods. Okay, the method which comes with the library of the language, these are the inbuilt methods. So for example, in the previous class we saw, when we were seeing the string data type, we saw that there is a length method, right? So that is that is a inbuilt method. All right. So like length, there are many number of inbuilt methods, but yeah, I hope everybody is clear between the difference between user defined method and standard library method. Anmol, could you please paste your question in the Q&A? Kirti, can you please help Anmol with his question? Thank you. Okay. Now, moving to declaring a method. So, like I was telling you that, okay, you tell me, how do you declare a variable? We have discussed it in the previous class. How did we declare a variable, guys? Exactly, type and variable name. Okay, that is how you declare a variable. Similarly, when you declare a method, there are few things that you have to mention. Okay, declaration of a method. In this, you have to mention the return type, method name, and parameter list. Okay, parameter is not mandatory. It depends on you whether you would want to do it or not, but these two are absolutely mandatory. Okay, return type and method name. So first I'll create a sample method and then I'll show you. Okay, and also declaring a method, there are other things as well. One more thing which is called access specifier. So these two things over here, these are mandatory. Okay, the return type and method name is mandatory, and parameter and access specifier, it is optional. If you do not give any access specifier, then it has got a default access specifier and it will take that. Okay, so when we talk about access specifier, I'll tell you more about it. Okay, so for example, if I have to create a method, okay, all of you, please come to your coding ground and let's create a method. Or let's see the main method, for example, okay, and then we'll create a method. So when I say the method declaration, this part is the method declaration. Got it? Which is telling you about the method. Method declaration is what is the method. In method declaration, it does not come into the picture that what the method does. Okay. So method declaration is, what is the return type of your method, what is the name of your method, what parameters your method is accepting, and all these things. So for example, line number 13, so from line number 13 to 15, this entire block is the main method, but line number 13 is the method declaration. So if anybody asks you what is method declaration, it is this. Okay, specifying the return type of the method. So what is the return type of this main method? Correct. It is void, okay, which means it does not return anything. And this is the name of this method. So these two things are absolutely mandatory, okay? And this is the parameter list. We'll talk about parameters more in detail, but right now just think of it, this is a parameter list. And this over here, public, is the access specifier. What is the access specifier? Access specifier means that from where is your method accessible. Okay, so there are different access specifiers. We will be covering that later, but mostly think of public is like the method can be accessed from anywhere. Okay, it can be accessed from anywhere. Then there is private, then there is protected, and then there is also default. Okay, so we'll talk about that in detail. Right now, let's stick with public. So consider I want to create a method square, okay, which will just return the square of a number. So I'll write like this, public, okay, and then tell me it returns square of a number. So what should be the return type of this method? Correct. It should be int, right? So I can write public int and maybe the name of the method I can write square. Okay, this is my method. I've not written anything in the body yet. Writing this much is sufficient when you're creating a method. Okay, now clear everybody. Any questions till here before we proceed? Any questions? Okay, all right. So let's proceed. Like I was telling you, whenever you declare a method, method name and return type is mandatory. So my method name is square over here, and the return type is int. Okay, this is what it is, and this is my access specifier, which is public. It just tells that what is the scope of your method, where your method can be used. Okay, talking a little bit more about access specifier. Let me tell you different options that you can have for access specifier. So first is public. I already discussed it. So public, this for public, the access level of a public modifier is everywhere. Okay, it can be accessed from within the class, outside the class, within the package, outside the package, anywhere. Okay, it can be accessed from anywhere. Then the another level is private. Let me write also over here. I'll be sharing this link of the whiteboard. Okay, everywhere. Private means that the method can be accessed only inside the class. Okay? Private means the method can be accessed only inside the class. So this method that I have created, public int square, I could have written private int square. So in that case, this method would have been accessible only inside this main class. I wouldn't be able to access the square method from outside the main class. Okay? Now the another is protected. So, protected is like suppose you have a package. Okay, package is nothing but a collection of classes. So, if you have a package, so the method can be accessible inside the package. Okay, so with protected, it is accessible inside the package. Package is a collection of class, the folder in which the class is existing. Plus, it can also be accessed by child classes. Okay, child classes. Child classes, whether the child classes are inside or it is outside the package. Okay, anywhere it can be accessed. And the so if you do not specify anything, okay, if you do not specify any access specifier or access modifier, this access specifier is also called access modifier. It is considered as default. Okay, so what default says is that it can be accessed only inside the package. Even if it is having child classes or anything, they cannot access outside the package. Okay, this is what it is. Any questions with access modifier? Any question? Okay, great, great. ठीक है. Now, return type is, it can either be void or any data type that we discussed in the previous class. It can be Anmol. I've already mentioned protected over here. Okay, yeah. So as I was telling, return type can be void or any data type that we discussed in the previous class. Okay, it can be byte, char, string, short, long, int, float, double, anything. Okay, so return type is that. Method name can be anything. Of course, you cannot have space and all those naming conventions which are there. It is still valid for a method name. So yeah, that is it. Now, parameter, I'll come to it in a bit. But before that, I wanted to talk about one more thing, which is writing static over here and writing and not writing static over here. Okay. So there are two options. When you're declaring a method, either you can make the method static or you can make the method non-static. We discussed this thing in the previous class. Anybody remembers? What is the difference between a static and a non-static method? What is the difference, guys, between static and a non-static method? Nobody? Okay. In the previous class, I had discussed one thing, that main method is static. Why did I say that we write static over here in the main method? Why is the main method in Java static, guys? Exactly. Static methods belong to a class. And remember, I mentioned one more thing, that to call the static method, you do not need object. Correct? So, for static method, if a method is static, you guys remember I mentioned this thing, that to call a static method, you don't need object. But when you have to call a non-static method, you need object of the class. Okay? Declaration. Anmol, every method is declared once. The once it is declared, it is only declared once, I guess. No, that's not the case. All the methods are declared only once. Okay. So see, consider I would have made it a static method over here. Okay, consider I made a static method over here. I want all of you to try it. Okay, and over here we will just print square. Okay, we will not do any computation right now. Let's print square. Let's just run this. Okay, and how will I run this is that whenever you want to run a method, okay, so how did you call a method in JavaScript? How did you call a method in JavaScript, guys? Anybody remembers the syntax? By writing the name of the method. Correct. So that is what we'll do over here. Okay, so I'll just write square. I hope all of you are with me. You're coding with me. Let's run and let's see what do we get. Okay, there's a compilation error. Oh, okay, missing return statement. Right now, for now, let me just make it void. I don't want to return anything. Yes. So I see square. Okay. So why was I able to write this method like this? Because I had declared this method as static. Okay, I had mentioned that this method is static, which means that I can, whenever I want to call this method, I can call it like this, like I've called in line number 19. Okay, but whenever, so consider I did not make it static. Okay, I want all of you to try this. Remove the static keyword and try compiling your program. See, non-static method square cannot be referenced from a static context. Okay, got it? Clear, all of you? What is the difference between static and non-static? So if you write static, you do not need object to call a method. Okay. And consider ki theek hai, you don't want this method to be static, it has to be non-static, so you need to create an object. Okay, how do you create an object of the class? First you write the name of the class. What is the name of my class? Quickly in the chat, what is the name of my class? Exactly correct, main. Okay, now you have to write the name of the object. So suppose I write it ob. Okay, then this new is the keyword that you have to write, and then main, and then parenthesis. This is how you create object of a class. Okay, this is how you create object of a class. Now this method over here, the square method, is it static or is it a non-static method? Is the square method static or non-static? Correct. It is non-static, right? So what did I mention over here? That for non-static methods, you need objects. Okay. So when I'm calling this square method, I'll be using an object. So object is ob. I'll do ob dot square. Okay. I'm sure you guys would have done something similar in a class of JavaScript, but this is how you call a method. Okay. Call a non-static method. Now I will run this and let me show you. See, now the method got called. Okay. So whenever you create a non-static method, you always need an object to call it. And whenever you create a static method, you can directly call it. Okay. So let me create a static method also. Meanwhile, please guys run and execute this. And once this is executing for you, put a yes in the chat. Public void cube system dot out dot println cube, and I'm going to make this method as static. Okay, and see how will I access this method? I will just write cube. Okay, now let me run this. See, I got hello world, then square was called, and then cube was called. Okay, all of you please try this. Okay, guys, is the pace fine or am I going a bit fast? Do you need some more time to try it? Do you need some more time, guys? Okay, done. Good. Others, do you need some more time to try? Yes, no? Okay, I'll be waiting. Please try it. Unless and until like you're not coding, it is very it will be very difficult to remember things. Okay, whatever I'm teaching. Okay, should we proceed? Okay, cool. Let's proceed. So see, now I hope these things are clear. Return type, method name, access specifier, and when you want to give static and when you want to give non-static. Okay, and depending on static or non-static, how do you call a method? Let's talk about parameter. So when we were writing code in JavaScript, how did we create a parameter, right? So let me write over here. In JS, okay, consider you had a function add or square. Oh, what did I write the spelling of function? Just a second. Okay, consider you had a function square, and you were getting a variable and you were just returning a into a. Okay, all of you understand this piece of code? This block of code. So this thing over here, this value over here, this was called parameter. Okay, this was called parameter, and this was how it worked in JavaScript. Okay, but Java, Java is very strict when it comes to data type. So what you have to do is that consider this is the method that we have just created, public void square. If you want a parameter over here, you can suppose you want a parameter called num. Okay, you have to write the name of the parameter, and then you also have to write the type of the parameter. Okay, so what is the type, guys? What should I write over your type? Yes, int. Okay, now what I'll do is that I will just print num into num. Okay, this is what I'll be doing. Now one thing is still missing. Can anybody guess what is that one thing which is missing, which will fail the program that I have? The program will not be executed properly. Which is that one thing that's missing? No, return is not important because see, I've made the name return type as void, right? So that's fine. Exactly correct. When I am calling this over here, okay, when I'm calling this, I have to pass this value, right? So I'll be passing a value. Which value should I pass? You tell me. The first number which I see, I write that. Okay, let's add 4. Okay. Now, now if I run, then we'll get the correct output. So we got 4 into 4, which is 16. Okay. Now, I hope all of you know the difference between parameter and argument. Okay. So this thing, this num over here, which is coming, this is called parameter. And this 4, which is being passed from here, this is called argument. Okay. I've seen a lot of people using this interchangeably, like calling this argument, calling this parameter, whatever. But no, the thing, the variable that goes, that is being received by the method, that is called the parameter. The value that you are sending, that is called the argument. Okay. Any questions about parameter versus argument? Okay. One thing that I haven't discussed is that declaration versus definition when it comes to Java. Okay. So in Java, so say this example, this function, okay, the main method. This line is my declaration. Declaration, like I mentioned, I'm repeating it again. Declaration has the return type of the method, which is void in our case. Declaration has the method name, which is main in our case. The declaration has a parameter list, which is this arguments array in our case. The declaration has a access specifier or access modifier, which is public in our case. Declaration also have the static, or like if you do not write static, it is considered as non-static. Okay, so it has this as well. All this comes under declaration. What is definition? Definition is what does the method do. Okay, definition is as simple as what does the method do. So everything that is inside the method body, that is the definition. Okay, clear everybody? Method declaration versus method definition, these are some very small things but are very important. Okay, great, let's proceed. So yes, the next thing that we are going to cover is calling a method. So like in JavaScript, we called a method by writing the name of the method and giving parenthesis and then the argument list. Okay, that is how yeah, Samapika, I'll repeat method definition. Method definition is what the method does. Okay, what does the method do? So in this case, our main method, so for any method, okay, the body of the method is the method definition. So this part which I have highlighted, this is the method definition for main method. This is the method definition for square method. This is the method definition for cube method. Okay. Now is it clear? This is not just in Java, it is true with any other programming language. Method declaration is just telling, like, what is the name of your method, the arguments, the parameter list, and everything. Method definition is what exactly your method is doing. That comes under method definition. Okay, proceeding. Calling a method. So in JavaScript also, you did this thing. You called a method by writing the name of the method, followed by parenthesis, and then the parameters. Okay. Similarly, you will do in Java. So over here, uh, in line, can you tell me in which line numbers have I called a method? What are the line numbers in which I have called a method? Exactly, 23 and 24. Okay, these are the line numbers in which I have called a method. Now, this I am calling a non-static method. Okay, so whenever you want to call a non-static method, you have to use a object, and whenever you want to call a static method, you can just use the name of the method. Okay. Okay, clear? You have created a method and just you want to call it. That is how you do. All right. Now, a little activity for you all. This cube method, instead of printing cube, sorry, instead of printing cube, modify the definition of this method to print the cube of the parameter that it is accepting, and put your answer in the chat. Just this method and how you're calling it. Two things that you have to modify. Okay. Activity. What you're trying to do is that. Let me write it over here. Make cube method print the cube of parameter. Okay, this is what you have to do. Please try it and paste it in the chat. Paste the entire method, okay, the declaration and definition, and how are you calling that method, both of them. Chandini, please check the method that you have pasted. Okay. Let your answers keep coming. I'm also going on checking the solution that I've got. So Chandini, what you have mentioned, that is correct. And Abhinav, I wanted you to print the cube, okay, but what you have done, that is also correct. Like if you wanted to return it. Rosie, your is also correct. The thing that you have posted, the solution. Anybody else who is still trying? Okay. Yes, Anmol, yours also looks correct. You guys also try running this, on your system. Okay. I am glad. I see a lot of you have, like, at least the answers that I have got, all of them are correct. So you have got an understanding of it. Good job, guys. Very good. Okay. Now, chalo, let's proceed. The next thing that we are going to talk about is return type. Okay. Java method return type. Exactly same as what you had in JavaScript. Okay. So it's just that, so consider you wanted to, instead of printing the cube, sorry, or instead of printing the square, you wanted to return the square. Okay. So I could have done something like this, num into num, and I could have returned it, right? I could have returned res. Now, do you think this will work? Yes or no? If you think it won't work, what is that one thing that I should change? Not one thing, but what are the things that I should change? Okay. Yes, void. What should I write instead of void? Correct. Void to int. And one more change. Any other change that should be there? This method is returning a value. Okay. The method is returning a value. But where are you catching this value? If you run this method, you won't see. You won't see the square. Would you? Let me just run and let me just show you. Oh, what happened? Just a second. Whatever method or whatever thing that you are returning, it needs to be caught in main, right? So see, in this case, you won't see the output of square. Can you suggest what change can I do? See, I just have hello world and cube. Can anybody suggest what change I can do? Let me show you the output again. This is what is the output. Any suggestions? Yeah, so there are two options. Okay, I will write both of them. Option one is that whatever result you're getting, okay, so this method, you're calling this method and it is returning a value, just print this. Okay, so this is one thing that you could do. Another alternative to what is over here, what you could have done is that you could have stored this. Okay, consider you don't want to print it right away. Every time we would not want to print it, right? Whatever a method returns, every time we would not want to print it, what you could have done is that you could have stored it in a variable. Okay, so if I say ob dot square and say I pass 4 or 9, and so this method will be called, whatever result will be returned, it will be stored in the result variable. And going forward, whenever I want to print it, okay, I can just print the result. All right, this is what we have. Now let me just run and show it to you. So you're going to get the result twice. Lost connection. Okay. Let me just copy the code before I refresh. Why is it so slow? Yep. See? So we got both the result. Okay. Return type clear, everybody? So see, it's not important in Java that every method should return something. Okay. A method may or may not return. If a method returns in the declaration, mention the return type. If a method does not return in the declaration, just mention void. Okay. And the thing is, like, if you mention int over here and then you're not returning, you'll get a compilation error. Your program will not compile. Okay. So whatever you're mentioning the return type, make sure you're returning that. Okay. Unless and until it is void, then you don't have to return anything. Okay. Now, can you guys do the same thing for the cube method, please? And this time I'm not going to show you the code. I want you to come up with the code. Like you have already seen it, but yeah. Giving you 5 minutes, please, all of you, do the same thing. The cube method, instead of make the cube method print, I'll do make the cube method return the cube of the parameter. This is what you have to do. Please paste your entire code in the message so that I can check. Yes, Chandini, Abhinav, Tapash, your answers are correct. I'll check Rosine's answer. Yes, Rosine's answer is also correct. Rosine, just it's just that the print statement will be inside the main method, right? Anybody else who is trying? Guys, please try. That is how you will remember. Please try, all of you. Okay, we have one more answer. Yes, Anmol, your answer is also correct. Okay. So good job, guys. I see you have got a hang of what we are trying to do. Okay. Any questions still here? I'll quickly reiterate the topics on a very high level that we have spoken about. So, see, till this point in the lecture, you all should be clear between with what is a Java method. Okay, what is the difference between a method and a function? How do you declare a method? How do you define a method? What is the difference between declaration and definition of a method? When it comes to declaration, what are the different things? Okay, instead of declaration, sorry, what are the different things in a declaration? Say return type, method name, parameter list, static, non-static, access specifier. These things you should be clear what would all of them mean. All right, and then yeah, declaration is there, declaration definition. Then we also spoke about calling a method. So there is a difference in how you call a static and a non-static method. So how do you call a non-static method? What is that thing that is said? What is that thing is called? How do you call a non-static method? Oh yes, Abhinav, correct. Anmol, your return type should be int instead of void. Okay, coming back to the question, what is that thing that you do? Yeah, exactly. You have to create an object and then you call a method via that object. Okay, that is how you uh, call a non-static method. And static methods belong to the class, so they can directly be called via the class. Okay, you can just call it like that just by writing the name of the method, and that works. And parameters we did not cover very much in detail, but I hope you guys know what it is. Okay, you guys have got an idea of it. Now, let's take a break over here and then we'll come back and we will talk about these three things: parameters, library methods, and advantages of methods. And I guess we will have some time in the end also. So, if you guys have any Java question, please be ready with it, okay, in a break, in this break. So, let's just be ready with the Java questions because I guess we will mostly wind up a bit early. So, in the time that is remaining, if you guys have any question, I can answer your questions. All right. So yeah, let's have a quick 10-minute break. I'll be pausing the session over here, okay, so that there isn't empty thing in the recording. So yeah, I'm pausing the session, not putting a timer, but I want all of you to be back sharp at 9:10. All right, cool, works. Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay, so pausing the session now. See you all at 9:10. All right, I hope you people are back. Everybody's back. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the next topic that we are going to talk about is parameters. What do you guys understand by parameters? I'm sure you would have done that when you were doing for when you were studying JavaScript. What do you understand by parameters, guys? Any answers? Okay. No problem. Values passed during runtime. Yeah, good, Tapash. Very good. Yeah, these are values which are passed during runtime to a method, right? These values are passed to the method. So these are actually Tapas, a little like modification in your answer. The values that are passed are called arguments. The values that are received by the method is called parameter. Remember what I was showing you over here, that this is parameter and this over here is the argument. Okay, this 4 over here, this is an argument. So this is what is being passed, right? But what is being received, that is the parameter. Okay, So do not get confused, guys, between these things, parameter, argument. I understand it can be confusing, but with time, things will be clear. Okay, do not worry. Okay. So what are parameters? Parameters are the values accepted by the method. Okay. So for example, if I have created a method public int square, and over here I write this num. So this over here is called a parameter. Now parameter helps to make a function more reusable, right? A function is anyway it is reusable, but parameter helps you to make it more reusable. Now, the thing with parameter is that it's not necessary that you have to pass a parameter. Okay. So suppose you did not want to pass a parameter over here. This is option one, how you could have written it. The option two is that if you don't want to pass a parameter, don't pass it. Just have an empty parenthesis. Okay. But whenever you are passing a parameter, make sure that you are having the type of the parameter and then the name of the parameter, both of them. Okay. So in empty case, this is how you will have public int square. This is, in this case, you are passing empty parameters. Okay, you can also pass more than one parameter. In that case, you can write public int square int a int b. Okay. And when you're passing parameter, it is not necessary that the type of both the parameters should be same. You can pass different types of parameter also. Okay. So instead of writing int a, int b, you could have also written int a, char b, byte c. Okay. Whatever. You can pass n number of parameters, how many, how many you require. Clear about parameter? The basic things like which I said, the most important things. Parameters, please, whenever you're asked in an interview, okay, make sure that you use this word accepted. Okay, do not say that it is the value which is passed. It is not passed. Okay, what is passed is called argument. So parameters are the values which are accepted by a method. It is not necessary that every method will be accepting a parameter. You can, like, a method can have empty parameters as well. Like it's not necessary that it needs a parameter. It can have an empty parameter list. It can have one parameter. It can have n parameter. Okay, it can have different types of parameter as well. And be just you have to make sure that whatever is this one, okay, whatever your method is accepting as parameter, whenever you're calling that method, you're making sure that you're sending it in that order. Okay, consider this example. Say public int print. Let's write a print method. Say it accepts a integer int x and uh, string y. Now, this is the body of the method. I do not care whatever is written over here. Now, the thing is that from the main method or any other method, one more thing, like when you're calling a function, it's not necessary that you have to call it through main function only. You can call it from other functions as well. Okay. But there should be an entry, like somewhere that method should be reachable. Okay. It's just that. Now, consider in main method, when you're calling this method, if you write something like this, print, I'm passing a string, okay, Soumya, and say 23. Is it valid or is it invalid? See this, see the method declaration and see the way I'm calling the method. Is it valid or invalid? Correct. Why is it invalid? The order of argument is not same as the order of parameter, right? So this order is also very important. Okay, so first it will not compile. It will say that it is accepting a expecting a int, but you are giving a string. and it will say that it is expecting a string, and then you're giving a int. First of all, it will not compile only, and anyway, even if like not compile, you're not trying to compile but you're trying to see, so in this case also you will get different outputs, okay, something that you have not expected. Now consider that over here the types were different, okay, that is why it was easy to make a choice. But consider that you have same type over here, okay. Still, whatever will be the first argument will be assigned to the first parameter. Whatever will be the second argument is going to be assigned to the second parameter. So order again is very important, okay. And yeah, I guess. One more thing actually I wanted to cover. Just a second. Do you guys know the difference between formal argument and actual argument? So I used to get very confused, okay, in these two terms. So I'll tell you, let me have a proper method. Say we have a method public int square, okay, int num. So there are different terms which are used for same things. So I'm just telling you these terms so that when you hear in an interview, you do not become paranoid. You remember that yes, it has been discussed, okay. So in the main method, I'm not writing public static void main, okay, just assume that it is written over here. I am say calling square ob dot square, and I'm passing a value 4. This num over here is called parameter, and this 4 over here is called argument. This 4 is also called actual argument, and this parameter over here is also called formal argument. Why actual and formal? So see, actually this is the value which is being passed, okay. This is the actual value of argument, maybe that is why it's called actual argument, and this is not an argument, this is just a placeholder for the argument, and which is just empty right now, and whatever argument will be there, it will go over there. So that is why it is called maybe formal argument, okay. But all of you clear actual argument and formal argument? Okay. The next thing that we have to talk about are standard library methods. Can you name one standard library method that you have used? Anyone? First of all, let me tell you what are standard library methods. Standard library methods are built-in methods. Okay, so these methods they come with the language. You do not define it; they come defined with the language. Okay, this is what it is. And so if I show you over here, maybe this one. Let's take this example. System dot out dot println. Okay. Now this println is my standard library method. Okay. Do not say that system.out.println is the standard library method. This println is only the method, but what is system? What is out? So system may be the package in which this method is defined. So see, in Java, this is the hierarchy. Okay. So there is a method. The method is inside a class, and the class is inside a package. Okay. Now a class can have more than one methods. It can have method 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number of methods. Okay. So a class can have more than one methods. Similarly, a package can have more than one classes. Say this is class 1, class 2, class 3. Okay, like that. And a package can be inside another package also. Okay, so say your package name is package 1. If you want to access the method 1 of package 1, how will you do it? You'll write something like this: package 1, say method 1 is inside class 1. Okay, so package 1 dot class 1 dot method 1. Okay, this is how you're going to access. So, in the example of system.out.println, the standard library method is only println. It is not this. Okay, this is the path of this method. So, for example, this much. Okay, from package.class, this is the path of this method, right? That how from root, how can you come to this method? This is the path. Similarly, this is the path of this method. There could be a package called system. Inside that, there could be a class called out, okay, or there could be whatever. I am not going into the specifics because that is not important right now, and that may confuse you as well. Not going that road, but I hope you guys understand that only this print ln is the built-in method, okay? Or for example, like Abhinav said, math.pow, okay? So math over here, maybe, so math is definitely not a method, right? For you to write a method, excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah. So how do you identify a method? By these parentheses, okay? So whenever you call something a method, it's very important that that thing has parentheses. So our method is only this, okay? This is only our standard library method. This math, it could be the class inside which this method is defined, or it could be the package, whatever. Okay, got it? Similarly for math dot sqrt. Okay, so this would be the class or package inside which this sqrt method is defined. Okay, now consider the, remember, in the previous class I had given an example: string s is equal to hello, and then I had done something like this: intl is equal to s dot length. This is dot, okay? Now this length over here was my built-in method. Okay, this was my built-in method. This was my standard library method. Only this length. Okay. But what was the class? What was the class, guys? Anybody in the chat? No. S is the variable, right? See, this is the variable. S is not the class. No, main is the method. Like this method length is defined inside which class? Exactly correct, Rosine. The string was the class. Okay. So, okay, tell me one thing. Try it out one thing. Write like this: int a is equal to 23. Try it in your compiler. Okay, write int a is equal to 23 and then have int l is equal to a dot length. Can you please try this? All of you, please try this and tell me what is the error that you get. Let me try along with you. Let me just copy it somewhere. I'll be actually sharing it after the class. So, no, I'll just clean it. Say int a is equal to 23, length is equal to a dot length. Let's run this. Int cannot be dereferenced, okay? Why is this? So this reference, dereferenced, I'll talk about when we talk about OOP, okay, when we discuss OOP. But in short, if I tell you on a very high level, okay, what this means is that in int class, you do not have a method length. The method length is not defined in int class. The method length is defined in the length class. Okay, so consider, think of it like that, that there is a box. There is a box. The name of the box is int, and inside this box there is a book which is length. Or no, sorry, the name of the box is string. Similarly, there is another box, and the name of the box is int. Doing something like this, a dot length, is same as me telling you that from the int box, can you give me the length book? Are you getting it? This length book is there in some other box. How can it be there in the int box? Because it is not there in the int box, right? So doing like this, fetching length for an integer, is same as me telling you that from an integer box fetch the length book, which is not possible. Okay, so why was I telling this? Because I wanted to tell you that always a method is not written like this, like a path. So whenever you are asked a class, do not say that whatever is before the method, that may not be the class. See that how is the method being used. So see this. So in this case, how would you see that? Okay, this method is being used for a variable of the type string. So it would be defined for string type variables. That means it is there in the string class. Okay. Actually, this is not there in the agenda of identifying these like how do you identify library methods, but I just wanted to cover it because we had some time, so why not? Okay, now in the material you will see that there are a few library methods which are mentioned. If you want to learn about more library methods, you can go to Java T point. So like I already mentioned in the previous class, this is from where I had learned Java when I was in college. Okay, so this is one site which can be very helpful for all of you. It is not very heavy. Okay, this site is not very heavy like Geeks for Geeks. Okay, and this site is not very light also, like tutorials point. It is having a perfect combination of how much you should have, and like how much they should tell you and how much they should not tell you. Like Geeks for Geeks is also a very good site, okay, for Java or for anything for that matter. Geeks for Geeks is a very good site, but the only problem is it has got a lot of material to be consumed, which is not possible, at least from my side, at least from my point of view. I have never done entire Geeks for Geeks for any technology. Okay, Java, data structure, I've never been able to complete it. It's huge. Okay, but Java T point is such a site that you can complete for a language. It has also got interview questions. Okay, so make sure that you go through the interview questions. Those are good. Okay, now coming back, I was telling you that from this Java T point, you can check that what are more library methods in Java. There are a lot. Okay, so just check that, and yeah, I hope the standard library method is clear to everybody. These are just the methods which come with the Java language. Okay, you do not define it; it comes with it. So you have got your Java runtime environment, right? There is JRE. So with that, you get these methods. Okay, clear everybody? Okay, thank you. Okay. Now the next thing that we wanted, like I wanted to discuss, is advantages of using a method. So for this, I would give you an example. So remember when we were kids in school, we had different notebooks for different subjects. Okay, so this was for English, this was for maths, this was for Hindi, this was for EVS. I'm not sure how many of you have studied EVS. I had it. Okay, we had like this. So this was when we were in school. Then when we went to college, we just had one big register. Inside that, we used to write English, maths, of course, like, or whatever subjects you guys studied. Consider that you have same subjects, okay? Whatever. We wrote everything inside that. Now, which one do you think was a more, like, maintainable way? Consider you wanted to change something, or you wanted to add a note to some point of thing, or you wanted to just update it. Option 1, option 2, which one was easier to do? School, right? It was much easier, it was much organized, right? So similar is the case with methods. So see, all the example that I was giving you, so the different methods that I had, square, cube, so I could have written all of that inside my main method. And that is absolutely correct. Okay, that's not wrong. That will give you the output that you want. But your code becomes all in one place. It is very difficult to read. It is very difficult to maintain. And it's like, it's not at all readable, that code. So right now you would be thinking that yes, there are few things that we are doing, but think of it like from industry level code point of view. There are like one file will have around 800 900 lines of code. Now consider if you put all those lines of code inside one single function or one single method, and there is something that is not working. What a pain it would be to go through these nine. So think of it like that in a college there is a 900-page register, and over here you just have some 100-page copies, okay, because you have different copies for different subjects. Now in this 900-page register, if you want to, so somewhere you have written English, somewhere you have written maths, and then again you have written English, and so on. Now in this 900 page of register, if you want to do some change in the English, okay, so consider your English teacher told something wrong, and then after 3 months she said that, oh, that day what I had told you, that's wrong, so please correct it. What a pain would it be to check 900 pages than it would have been to check just 100 pages, right? You're getting the point, right? I hope you get the point. So that is the advantage of method, okay. This is the example, the easiest example that I could come up with. So the main advantage of using a method is that your code becomes readable and maintainable. Now both readable and maintainable, okay, both of them are very important, okay, not just for you but for everybody. So for say like you are in a company, okay, and you write some code, there are very few people who are there in the same company for like forever, okay, that's very rare. So consider you leave and somebody else comes and takes your position. Now, if your code is not readable, if you have not segregated it properly, how difficult will it be for that person to contribute to your code, right? What worst can happen is that your code will be discarded. They will think that, okay, instead of going through so much code, let's let's just write it again, okay. So it's not like that happens in industry. You have to go through that code and understand it irrespective of however bad the code has been written. But you get the point, right? And similarly, consider that you are going in a new company, somebody else has already written some code and they have written everything in one single file. What a headache would it be to understand it or to do some modification to it. Consider some bug has come and you want to fix it. How would you do that? That would be such a, like a very big headache, right? And we don't want that. So that is why it's important that you use methods so that your code becomes readable and maintainable. Also, another aspect, if you don't want to do it for others, do it for yourself, so that the code that you have written is there in the company, is being used. That is the best gift that we can get as a developer, right? That the code that we are writing is being used. So that is there. And also, so from my personal experience, I'll tell you, in my first company, I was there. I was there in my first company for around 2.5 years. In my first year, I had written one code, okay, and that was a very bad code that I had written. There were no comments. The code was not properly structured. And then while leaving, when I was giving a KT, so when you leave a company, you have to give a knowledge transfer session. Okay, somebody takes up your role, so you need to tell them that this is what I have done, and if something fails in this thing, you have to do this and so on. All that knowledge you have to transfer. Then when I was doing that KT after 2.5 years of writing the code, it was such a pain for me to understand what I had written. Okay, so if you don't want to do it for others, do it for yourself. And yeah, so as I was telling that the main advantage of writing a method is that your code becomes readable, it becomes maintainable, and another thing is that your code becomes reusable, right? So consider that the same thing that you're trying to do. So for example, you're trying to find the square of 5, okay? So you can just do system.out.println 5 into 5. Then you have to do it for 9. and so on. Okay, so you'll do it for all of them. This is just a very small operation, so it's fine doing it for different numbers. But think that it is a big operation, okay? Finding, or say that you're trying to find the roots of a quadratic equation. That is a big operation, right? So that will take some time. So you don't want to write the same thing again and again. Instead, you can just write a function, make the function accept parameters, and whatever different equation you want the roots for, you can just pass different arguments. Okay. So these are the two main advantages of using a method. A, your code becomes reusable. B, it becomes readable and maintainable. Okay. Any questions, guys? I hope all of you have understood. This is what we discussed in today's class. We spoke about Java methods. We understood what is the difference between method and a function. So conceptually, both of them are same. Okay, देखने से same है. Both of them are just functions, but functions which are written inside a class are called methods. Okay. Now we saw declaration of method. So when you tell that what is the name of the method, the return type of the method, and so on, the parameter list and access specifier, static, non-static, those things, and definition is the body of the method. Okay, what the method does. Similarly, we saw calling of a method, that how do you call a method? By writing the name of the method. Now if it is a static method, just writing the name will do. But if it is a non-static method, you also need to create an object and then call a method via that object. Then we spoke about parameters. These are the values which a method accepts. Okay. We spoke about library methods, the built-in method, which methods which come with Java. And then we also spoke about advantages of using a method. Any questions in whatever we have discussed? All of you got this? Whatever I shared today? Okay, great. Anything that you would want me to teach? Like, we have some time. We have some 20 minutes remaining. Anything that you would like me to teach? Feel free to let me know. Anything at all? Yash has a question. Public class means syntax error, unexpected token class. Okay. So Yash, what happens is that in a Java, in one file, you can only have one public class. Okay, you cannot have more than one public class. There is only one public class. I assume Yash that you are running it in some online compiler, right? That is why you get this error, because they would be having their own class. Can you share the entire file? Like what is there in your code? Are you having more classes in your file? Please share the code. It will be easier for me to understand. Okay, by the time Yash puts his code, let's see some other questions. Chani has a question. After a career gap and from non-IT background, is it possible to get a job in Java? Yeah, Chani, why not? So there are a lot of companies like JP Morgan, a lot of companies, in fact, that welcome employees without welcome employees with career gap. Okay, so they have their drives which happen for people, especially who were there on a career gap. Microsoft also has it. So they have a policy called back to work. So it is definitely possible, Chandni. And if you're good at coding, if you know Java properly, why not? All right, so do not think that no, you cannot. It's not the case. Ashish, you have a question that passing more than one argument as a parameter. Can you tell it code wise? So, see, the number of arguments that you're passing, you should have exactly that number of parameters. Okay. So, you cannot write something like this. You cannot write public int. sum int this is your method whatever you're writing, and then inside you're having a main method, and over here you cannot do like this sum 5 comma 3. This is not possible. Okay, this is not possible. Remember I was telling you that the type, the mapping, it happens. Okay, so whatever you're passing that should be accepted over here. Was this what you were asking, Ashish? Okay, great. um, Let me see. Okay, okay, Ashish, thank you. Let me see the code which Yash has pasted. Okay, the code looks fine, Yash. Can you please check if you have JDK installed and you have got all the dependencies which are required to run your Java program? And of course, how are you running the Java program? That is also important. How are you running it? So, are you running it via a terminal, or what are the commands that you're using it? Please make sure. Okay. So how I used to run locally is that I had installed JDK. So say I create a file in Java. This is my file. Okay, suppose I call it program.java. Okay, so this file I used to run a command called javac. Okay, so what this javac does is that it converts this program.java file into a dot class file. Okay, so it will convert it into something like program dot class. Okay, now you will see this file in the file explorer. Okay, you will see this file in the file explorer, and if you open this file you will see some characters which you cannot read. Okay, I would like really want all of you to run this command and try how it works for the people who run using terminal. So this command is written in terminal. Okay, you have to install JDK for this. So this thing, once you have a program and then you compile it, you will get a dot class file in which you will have some random characters. Okay, this is the bytecode. Okay, now when you run this class, so if you run it using terminal, we use the code Java, and then just the name of the file. We do not mention the extension dot java dot class. We do not mention. We just mention Java program. So this bytecode is executed depending on whichever environment it is running in. Okay, and then you get the output. Clear? That is how you do it. Okay. Any other question, guys? Do you guys know the difference between JDK, JRE, and JVM? Everybody, do you know the difference? Or do you want me to tell you the difference of it? Cool, cool. Let's do this. Okay. I'll try to make it as simple as I can. Okay. So JVM is Java Virtual Machine. Okay. So JVM is the Java Virtual Machine, and it is responsible for running your Java code. Okay. Think of it like that. So there is this JVM, which is Java Virtual Machine, and it runs your Java code. Okay. Now, along with JVM, you get some libraries. Remember some library methods which I was telling you? Okay. So JVM plus the libraries or some additional files which are required, all of them together constitute JRE, which is the Java Runtime Environment. So if you have made a Java application and you want your friend to try it out, you can just ask your friend to install JRE. Okay. Now, with this JRE, you need some development tools, right? So, if you want to code, so what are the development tools that you'll require? You'll require the Java debugger, okay? You will require the that Java C, the command that converts Java program into bytecode. You will require Java command using which you run the program. All of these development tools along with JRE constitute JDK. Okay, so think of it like this: JVM plus libraries is equal to JRE. Okay, JRE plus dev tools is equal to JDK. Just remember this. I hope you're clear. JVM is responsible for running the code. JRE is responsible for giving the environment on which the code runs. Okay, and any user of your application, the user needs JRE. JDK helps you with developing the Java code. So if you are a Java developer, you need JDK in your system. All right. Or if you just install JDK, along with JDK, you'll also get JRE and JVM. So you don't have to install it separately. All right. Let me share the link of the whiteboard as well with you guys, so that you can access it later whenever you want. And yeah, this is what I had to share. Any other questions? Any other questions, guys? Anything that you want me to explain? Uh, can we pass a function as an argument? Actually, I haven't passed a function as an argument in Java, but give me a second. I'll just check. Mm, Yeah, so I saw some Stack Overflow answers, and it shows that yeah, you can pass function as argument, but I haven't passed it ever. Actually, I didn't really like when I came to industry. I never really got a chance to work on Java. Java is just one personal thing that I do, but yeah, it says that you can pass a function as an argument. Okay, all right. Any other questions? Okay. All right then. See you in the next class. Thank you, guys. Thank you, all of you. A very good night to all of you. Over to you, Kirti.
Sure. Thanks so much. It was a great session.
Thank you.
Cool. So let's get started with the problem statement of yesterday. Let me share my screen. Mm, So yeah, can you guys see my screen? Can you give me a cheer? Perfect. Thanks. Let me drag and drop it. And I think yesterday's session was this, and this is the tutorial, and 1 minute, and this is the problem statement. So, how many guys tried this, and how much they managed to do it, or is there a problem which they faced, and like if they are stuck anywhere? Any updates on this on the problem statement? Did you guys give it a try? Yes, no, didn't try, got stuck, was not able to figure out. Any responses? Okay, I'm hoping that you guys tried, but yeah, we'll eventually discuss this problem again so that, yeah, those people who got stuck somewhere implementing this, at least they have a peek at okay how to write the code. Cool. So if you take a look at the first, there are two coding questions which you have to write using Java, and with the skills which you have been taught yesterday's. Okay, loop and if statements and bunch of things. Program is write a program to find the maximum and minimum number from array without using Java methods. Okay, so Java also has something called as like array.max and array.min, and you can directly do that, and you don't have to implement the logic. But here it is expected that you are given a array, and then you have to tell the maximum and the minimum value of the element from the array. So that's what you have to implement. Now let's take it back, and I'm hoping that a similar sort of problem you might have done in JavaScript as well. So there, if you want to implement this similar logic, how you would how you would proceed with this is like you will, like, let's say for example, if you want to determine the maximum element out of the array. So, like, generally, like the way people approach this problem is like they just select the first element as the max element, and then like they will iterate the rest of the elements, considering that okay, if the max element is essentially smaller than any of the rest of the array elements, then they will assign that value of the array element to the max element. And that's where, like, you if you will exhaust the loop writing this logic, then essentially you will have the max element at your hand, and that you can print it. On the contrary, in the min, you have to do the opposite. Like, you have to select the first element as min, and if any element from the array is like smaller than the min, then in that case you have to replace that element to the min. Like, you have to assign back the value of that element to the min, and then that's how you will get a min element. So essentially that's what you have to do. Does that make sense? Or was I too fast and then it didn't make any sense? Yes, no, thumbs up, anything? Hello? Am I audible? Okay, it is making sense. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. Thanks, Ishwar. Thanks for the heads up. Okay, so let's go to the code implementation of this. So I have implemented the code for you guys. Let me just pull my VS Code. 1 minute. And let's, okay, a bunch of things are open. Wait a minute. Let me drag the AlmaBetter website here, and then I will drag my VS Code here, and let's see the code. Okay. So this is the max and min problem which we are going to implement. So this is the problem statement that you have to write a program to find the maximum and minimum number from the array. Okay. So I have for now hard coded the array which was told there, and this is how you declare array. You are already, I'm assuming that you have already gone through Soumya's class, and you have also practiced well, so you know how to declare a static array. Like, this is the syntax to simply create an array, and then as I told, like, to find the max, you just assign the first element's value to max. Okay, and then you iterate from the very next element, like from here to here, right? So that's how you iterate an array in Java. So I am running from I is equal to 1 till array length, and then I am increasing the count of the counter. Okay, and then I am just comparing that okay, if any of the array element is bigger than the max, then that array element will be assigned to max. So, like, let's say for example, if we want to dry run for this, how this will work. Okay, so if you just run this logic for this array and make a dry run, so how this will run is like, for the very first iteration in the max, you will have the value of 23. Okay, after that it will come here, right? Now, as Soumya yesterday told, right, that how the array iterates. So first initialization work. This is the number one step. Then after that, it will do a comparison. So one is less than array length, which is definitely true. Then it will go in the body. So first, second, third, and then at last the iteration works like the fourth statement it is, right? First is initialization, but initialization only happen once. After that, second is this. Here the array comes to make a comparison, and then it goes to execute the body, and then the increment happens. So that's how the array, sorry, the loop flow works. Okay. So essentially, like I will be assigned for the first iteration the value of one. Okay. Now, as it is having a value of one, and one is that now if this statement is done, post that you will come here. So here one is less than array dot length. Array dot length will return what? 3 to 5 elements. So array dot length will have the value of 5, right? Array dot length will have a value of 5, and now you are damn sure that 1 is less than 5, right? So this loop will enter to the body part. So here it will check the max has what value? 23, and now the array I has a value of 1. So array of 1 is 92. Like array of 0 is 23, then array of 1 is 92, and then array of 2 is 56, and array of 3 is 39, and then 93. That's how, so on and so forth, right? So here the comparison will be how? So here 23 will be compared with 92, and this is absolutely true, right? This is true, right? 92 is greater than, so it will go in the if block. So here, what will happen is the max which was assigned to 23, now that max will get updated to 92, correct? So that's what it happens. Now, as the body is fully executed, it will go where? It will come here, correct? So now, as it has come here, so now I will turn to 2, correct? And I will come to 2, and these things will remain as it is. Now array length is anyway, that's a static value, that's not going to change. So that is going to be 5. So now after this thing is done, now initialization never happens again. So then the comparison will happen again. So here I will be 2, and 2 is less than 5. So that is also true. So we'll again go in the body of the array. And here max is now what? So max is now changed to something called as 92. As last iteration, we updated it to 92, right? So max is now 92, correct? And array of I, where I is now pointing to 2, which is this value. So if you see now, 92 is going to have a comparison with 56, correct? So is 92 less than 56? That's an incorrect statement. So we will not go inside the if block. Okay. So as we will not go inside the if block, so this thing will be skipped, and then again I will be incremented, because this is the part which is going to be executed. So I will be 3, and then you will be making a comparison again here. So 3 is less than 5, and then again 92. Max value is not changed this time, right? So it is again 92, and 3 is what? 39. So if you will, I3, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, correct? So that is what? 39, correct? So 92 is less than 39. That's also a false statement. So in that case, it will not go inside again, and 92 will remain as it is. And then here again, it will come here. So here, as I plus plus will be happening, so it will be I is equal to 4, and 4 is what? 4 is less than 5. That's correct. It will come again inside, and as max is again having the value of 92. And if you will compare this, like this time, I3 is like I4 is what? 93, correct? So 93. So now 92 is less than 93, which is a correct statement. So in that case, max will be overwritten, and max will have a value of 93. And then when I will be turning up to 5. Now, is 5 less than 5? That's an incorrect statement, right? 5 is equal to 5, but 5 is not less than 5. So in that case, the loop will break, and then we will come out. So now the max will have the final assignment of 93, and you can see the 93 is the largest value for this array, right? So in a sense, you can judge that, okay, this algorithm is rightly able to predict the largest value of the array, correct? So I okay. So sorry. I have not seen Kusaram's. Sir, I have made like this. Okay. Uh, Kusaram, you are also like you have done also things which are more or less correct, but max if you will assign to zero, right? So uh, means means you have tried to club two logics, which is also okay, and that's not a problem. I think that is also correct way to implement it. uh, but I tried to make the program simple. So if you like, if you remember, right, so you should write a logic in a way which is a little readable. So if like I will write a logic like the way you have written, it will be a little difficult for like guys who are just starting to learn Java. So that's where, keeping that part in mind, I have rather tried to write a simple code, and then I have to like I have sort of replicated the same way, but yeah, I have just like rather than less than, I have made it greater than. So it's like a simple way you can write. So mine is a simpler implementation, but definitely your implementation is also correct. Yeah, no doubt about it. You have also implemented it correctly. No problem at all. Okay. So I think, see, there is definitely more than one way to correctly write the logic. So you should never feel that okay, whatever my sir is teaching is the absolute correct thing, and I cannot do a better job on it. Definitely you can, if you have done your homework better, and if you have done a better reading than me, then definitely you can write better code than me. Okay, so if your output in all the circumstances is coming correctly, it means you have done a right implementation. So I think, yeah, you have done a correct implementation, no doubt about that. Okay. So you guys see, like, okay, finally we managed to do a dry run and we got the value correctly. And similarly, we have implemented the min as well here, rather than checking that okay, if the array's value is greater than max, we are checking if it is minimum, that if it is smaller, and that's where we are doing the reassignment. And if you run this program, this will also point the like print the expected output. So let's try to run it, and you will see that okay, post running, you can see, okay, okay, let's rerun it again. There is, yeah, so you see that okay, the maximum value in the array is 93 and the minimum value in the array is 23. Okay. So this is the way the Java has run and has determined the max and min value. So that's like you can see, right? Okay, max value I am getting, and I am iterating through the array, and that's how I am determining. And likewise, I am determining the min value, and that's what I am printing, like max and min. And then you can put this system out printer and here as well. I just implemented the logic together for this and this, and then like printed separately. But you can definitely like implement and then print, and then implement and then print. That also is cool. So is this logic clear? Does that make sense? Is this simple enough to understand? Cool, 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 cool. Now, a little homework for you guys. Now, this is a hard coded array, okay? And you can definitely not change this array for sure. So I want you to make this array to be user expected accepted, where like first you have to ask okay the length of the array, and then you are supposed to also prefill the values of the array, and then using that array you have to determine the min and max, and then you have to print that in the output. So that's the homework which you have to do, and I will be sharing the code for your reference. Okay. So, okay, this is bad. I think I might have to create a notepad. So let me create that as well so that I can share. One minute. So let's create a new notepad and let's copy the code and do a save, and let me share. And one minute. Okay. Sorry. I'm supposed to share here. So yeah, please give me a cheer if you can access this code so that we will move to the next part of the next part. So are you able to see this code in the notepad? Perfect, perfect. Thanks, thanks, thanks. So let's move to the second problem. So now you have to write a program to find the longest string from the array of these strings. Okay. So this is the array of these strings. Okay. So how you are going to implement this? So for that also I have implemented this code like this. Okay. So here if you see, so there is a institutes array which is a string array, and that is containing the input string which it is stated in the problem statement, which is AlmaBetter and then Newton School and Edureka. That's what they want to compare, and then they want to tell the longest string. Okay. So here also what I have done, I have taken the longest string as the very first element of the array, and then simply on the same lines, just I have from the very next element I have iterated to the end of the array. And here, rather than checking the value, I am checking the length. That if the longest string's length is less than any of the institute's array elements length, then in that case I will be putting the longest string to that arrays input. Okay. And then I am printing that, like no fancy offense here as well. And if we try to dry run this, let's try to give a dry run for this as well. So let's say for example, like here you see institutes 0 is nothing but AlmaBetter, right? So longest string will have what? So longest string will have AlmaBetter as the string. Okay. Now, so as I is starting from 1, so this will be the first statement, then it will compare the length. So length is what? 3, right? So if you make a comparison, so I is 1 and 1 is for sure less than 3, correct? So in that case, this will go in the body of the for loop, right? So here longest string dot length, right? So longest string for now is assigned is what? AlmaBetter. And what is the length? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? So AlmaBetter's length is 10, right? So that is that. So AlmaBetter's length is 10, and which is we have to compare with. So i's value is 1. So 1. So for institutes array, this is 0th element and this is the first element. So the Newton school is the first value, right? So like Newton school is what? This is institutes at the 1th index, this value is there, right? So and what is the length of this? So 3, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the length of Newton school is 13. So 10 is less than 13, right? Is it correct? It is exactly correct. So it will, so is it, that is correct, right? You guys get it, right? 10 is less than 13. So as this is correct, so it will go inside, and here the longest string will be updated with what? With the first value of the array, like the 1th value of the array. So which is Newton school. So now the longest string will be reassigned with value of Newton school. Okay. And this will come here. Now as the body of the loop has iterated fully, so we will come back, and this is the part which get executed last. So I will become what? 2. So this will become 2, and then it will again come to execute this. So 2 is less than 3, which is actually also correct. So we will go inside now. Longest string is what? Newton school, and the length of it is 13. Okay, we saw the last time. And now institute has been updated to 2th index, so which is Edureka. And what is the length of Edureka? So 2, 4, 6, 7, right? So 13. So 13 and 7. So is 13 less than 7? It is a false statement. So we will definitely not go here, and longest string will still be Newton school. And then we will get to the increment of I. So which will become 3, right? So which will become 3, and then 3 is less than 3? No, that is not correct, because 3 is equal to 3. So in that case, the loop will break, and we will come here and we'll print longest string, which is Newton school. So yeah, that's all. So we will be printing the longest string value, and that's Newton school, right? So if you try to run this program as well, you will see that's the output. So if you try to run it, you will see the longest string is what? Newton school, correct? So does that make sense? Is it good? Made sense? Didn't make sense? Like, is there a confusion? Hello? Did it make sense? Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Thanks. So yeah, here also you have to implement the same homework. Like you have to make that in this institute's array to be like accepting the input from users. So rather than being a hard coded array. So that is a homework for you guys. And then you have to use that array of the institutes to like determine okay which of the institute is having the longest length name. Okay, so that is part of your homework. So yeah, I am adding this code as well in the same notepad. Oops, okay, someone deleted that while copying it seems. So okay, I will add again. Okay, let me okay, I think okay. My connectivity was lost. Okay, sorry. So I think I have added both. And now if you guys can give me a cheer that okay, you can access both the codes, then yeah, we will wrap up this session for today. And yeah, okay, cool. So if you guys are able to access and if there are any more questions you have, confusions, I can take it. Otherwise, yeah, we will wrap it up. Cool. Cool. I'm hoping then, okay. Yeah, it made sense. Okay, folks, then. Yeah, have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.